Welcome back to the man cave. I thought we'd go ahead and do an update on this Corvette. So we have the transmission tunnel installed, and I've gone ahead and cleaned some things up on it. We're going to have some more cleanup that we're going to need to do. As we were installing this transmission, I had to trim some excess out of this tunnel because this is a fairly tight fit. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and build me a cover piece right here. I'll use some rubber to put it together so that we can have our transmission tunnel sealed up. I've also installed both of the new floor pans. So what I did to install these new floor pans, first I took some of the bottom out of the old floor pan so that I could set these new pans down in place. And then what I did was I set these pans down in place and I started to do some trim work so that I could get them to fit as good as we could get them to fit without making any major modifications. So after I fit the floor pan in place, I went ahead and primed both the floor pan and the old floor pan with some weld through primer so that we could seal that metal up. And then when I placed it in place, the primer seals the metal up so that it tries to prevent further rusting. And then what I did was I drilled some 1/4-inch holes through this new floor pan, and then I went through and plug welded them. I've gone back in here and I've cleaned most of these spot welds back up so that they're smooth. And what that does is that gives us a little bit better option when we start putting the sound deadening material in here. Because I needed to raise this floor pan up just a little bit to clear the header on this new engine, I went ahead and set this floor pan just a little bit higher than the factory floor pan was. And then what I did is I built this new piece up here to make the connection between the metal of the floor pan and the fiberglass of the firewall. And I've got this put in place. I've got some screws set in it so that it will set in place. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this piece back off, and I'm going to take this epoxy and I'm going to put this epoxy between the fiberglass of the old firewall and the metal of this new toe piece that I've put in place. And I will put this epoxy in there, put my screws back in there to hold it in place, and then I will start to run rivets between this piece of metal and this piece of fiberglass to hold that together. And then I'll come back through here and I will plug weld this piece back into place. It's still going to require me to do just a little bit of metal work on the bottom side of that corner and this corner right here in order to get everything to fit the way that it's supposed to. But I will go ahead and do that as soon as we get the floor pans installed. And then after that, what we'll do is we'll come through here and we'll put some seam sealer along this seam, both inside and outside. And then we will primer and paint these so that we can get ready to send this car to the paint shop. As part of having the interior out of this car, we've decided to go ahead and put an air conditioning unit in it. So we purchased an air conditioning unit from Factory Air, and I've gone ahead and installed the condenser. We're going to go ahead and put a dryer right up here. We've had the compressor already installed so that we could get our drive belt system to work. And we will go ahead and feed our hoses in through here and put everything, clean everything up through here. We're going to install the new unit up underneath of the dash. I'm going to do all of this before I send this car to the paint shop so that I'm not working in this section right here over a brand new paint job. As part of this install, one of the things that happened, the original park brake pulley was welded right here to this cross member, and it needed to be removed in order for this transmission to fit in here. I wanted to leave this as close to the original spot as we could get it. So what I did was I took the old bracket that was welded here, and I built myself a new bracket so that I could keep this pulley in about the same position, and that way we could continue to use the original park brake stuff. As I was welding these floor pans in place, one of the things that what I did was I was having a little bit of trouble getting a good ground. And so what I did was I went ahead and took an old ground strap and I bolted it to the seat locator on this floor pan right here. And then I just hooked my ground right directly to it so that I could get myself a good ground so that when I was welding, I didn't have sputtering in my wire feed. Thanks for spending a little time with us here in the man cave. Appreciate you watching our videos. Please hit the like or subscribe buttons and also leave comments. I will try and respond to your comments, and leave me ideas for videos and I will try and make them happen.